Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to News Today. I am Emefa Akosia Adeti. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Kukumlimle. And in our headlines today, with 2 days to the expiration of their ultimatum to government to fix deplorable roads, driver unions ask government to find alternative routes for use.
Road in there very bad, beyond bad.
Fierce legal battle looms between Essikado-Ketan MP Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission GTEC, as lawyer for the MP gives GTEC 14 days to provide basics for questioning her professorship title. And also, former Defense Minister Dr. Nitiwo warns that Ghana is dangerously underprepared in case of any terrorist attack.
Will not conclude, but the people of Ghana should know that we are underpreparing as compared to our neighbors.
And in the news today, Ghana's Mpox cases rise to 409 and the Ashanti region confirms 24 cases across 12 districts.
Currently, the total number of cases that we have recorded in the region is 24, which is almost about 5% of the total cases that we are talking about.
For the next 60 minutes, we have these and more, including business, sports, showbiz, and world today. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Please stay. Thank you for your attention this afternoon. First, drivers and residents along the Pokuase-Nsawam served notice warning if immediate action is not taken to fix their unmotorable roads, they will protest. That was last week. The expiration of the ultimatum is in the next 2 days. The drivers say they have had enough of the dusty detours, the broken suspensions, and the endless wait for a road that has been under construction for years. The GPRTU and the GRTCC want the government to drag the contractor back to site or face their wrath. My colleagues Michael Ashaiman and Anthony Menu were on that stretch, and here's their report.
With each passing day, commuters and drivers are paying the price for government's inaction. Welcome to the Pokuase-Nsawam stretch, where driving is a nightmare for drivers and commuters, and where every bump feels like a gamble with your vehicle's safety. This stretch has been under construction for years, yet today, the contractor is nowhere in sight. The result? An obstacle course of potholes, forcing drivers to crawl bumper to bumper, twisting and turning just to stay on four wheels. On our visit, more than 20 vehicles were seen broken down in the middle of the road. Here lies another broken down car, and another, and another. Vehicles, both big, long, medium, or whatever size it is, at some point in their journey to Kumasi, have to at least run through this muddy water. A very difficult situation for many of them because they don't know what exactly under the surface of that water looks like. You may as well just call it the muddy pool of death, because I've counted not one, not two, but more than 3 vehicles in this section alone that are broken down. They haven't moved an inch in hours. The difficulty is that no help can come to you at this particular point in the middle of a muddy pool. Darko Foster was heading to the eastern region when his car skidded dangerously close to tipping over.
I didn't know where to pass. I lost traction. The next thing I realized, the vehicle was skidding, and there were people in the car, and no one is willing to help. Okay, now I'm afraid to win from 2.5 p.m.
His passenger, Mary Owusu, had bought goods in Accra to sell back home. Now, they sit drenched and ruined.
12 o'clock. The car has been stuck here since 12. There is mud in my goods and everything I bought to sell is destroyed. I lost my money today.
While we were here, an STC bus got stuck. It was the second one that day in the same area. The driver, John Ate, is now visibly frustrated.
A state bus, a whole state bus. Look at the situation in which it is.
This is a state bus. Now see where we are. Government must fix the road. The road is very bad.
Problem, I don't know.
But how bad is the road?
Road in there very bad, very bad, bad. Beyond bad.
Passengers were forced to get out and wade through mud. For another passenger, time is money. He's now late to his appointment and losing both. Manaf, yes. This vehicle is sport. Are you from this vehicle, one of the passengers in there?
No, I'm not, but from the other one, a similar STC that got stuck along.
Another STC broken down, yes, same day, same time?
Yes.
From Burkina Faso to Tema, one long haul brought to a halt here.
The road no good, I swear.
Brima Tofik's cargo now sits in jeopardy after a key support beam broke in the struggle.
If you come out from Amle, Cambodia, the road no good. So all the goods will be the load, you know. I swear, but from Obakura, Oko, Odo Amele, plenty cars fall down for that place because of the road. The road no good. The day we go do 5 days to reach the Tema, but sometimes we do 1 month before we reach Tema.
Taxi driver Alex Apia-Danko says business is slow. Whatever he earns goes straight into repairs as well.
Some passengers in
the passengers are not boarding our taxis. Look at the road. We beg, please come and fix it.
Yes,
commercial buses are cashing in. A journey from Pokuase to Amasaman, once 5 cedis, now cost 10. Janet Morte says it is broad day thievery.
If you don't have 10 cedis, you can't move from here to Midday.
Some drivers even stop mid-route, forcing passengers to pay again before continuing.
Kwabenya, I am heading to Sapeman, and I had to pay another fare to continue.
Ride-hailing drivers have abandoned the route altogether. Kweku Frimpong is unhappy.
And because of the bad routes, sometimes when people request for Bolt and Uber and all those kind of commercial, they don't want to come to this part because of the condition of the route. And it really affects, and because of this issue, this public transport, the Trocho people, they've increased the fare of the prices exponentially.
Frustrated, the GPRTU and GRTCC have announced plans to demonstrate over the bad road. Residents and commuters have endorsed it.
Of course, why won't I join? Because it's really now, kids are not able to use this road anymore. And then, it's seriously, I'm even lost of words. I didn't even know the right words to use because
we are on our knees. They should fix it for us.
We will demonstrate. We must park the cars on the road and block it. They should try and fix it for us.
The Amasaman Road is a critical stretch for trade and commerce, but the current state is crippling the economy and affecting lives. The government must take immediate action to address the situation and complete the road project. Until then, every journey here will remain a gamble. For Joy News, Michael Ashali and Anthony Menu.
Surely, this situation brings to the fore more questions about our roads in the country, and lead data and research analyst here at Joy News, Isaac Kofi joins me in studio. Now, Kofi, let's discuss the even numbers first.
What a way to put numbers to the visuals. We saw 68% is the completion rate of the Nsawam of Pankor Road. So we are left with about, let's say, 32% more to complete this road. And the reason why this road is so crucial and critical is that if you look at the description of the road when the contract was actually awarded, this particular road is supposed to be about 33.4 kilometers. In there, you have 10 lanes, MFA. 6 of the 10 lanes are supposed to be for express, and then 4 for, services and other connections. And you have 4 interchanges on that particular road. And the reason why it's become a big headache, and you can see the magnitude of the distress people are going through, is because you need $346.5 million US. That's about roughly 34 billion Ghana cedis to actually complete, this road project. That is the amount of money you need to complete the Nsawam Pokuase-Nsawam road. And in fact, beyond that, we've been looking at the status of our roads as a country, right? This is according to the Ministry of Roads and Highways, their own program-based budget that we've been getting this data from. And according to them, just about 47% of roads in Ghana are in good shape. 32% of them are fairly good, or fair. Talk about poor roads, about 21% of that. So what you are expecting is that should reflect in our budgeting. But what you're seeing, comparing the budgetary allocation to the roads ministry from 2022 to 2025, is that if you do a simple mathematics, what you see is that expenditure or the budgetary allocation to that ministry is expected to drop by some 30% this year. Why is that important? Because if you break it down, you will see that a big component of that budgetary allocation is expected to go into management and administration. And it's about 1.4 billion, and just about, let's say, 1.2 billion is supposed to go into proper capex. And I mentioned just one road, which is costing about 34 billion Ghana cedis. And the whole, country is expected to rely on just close about, let's say, 2.5 billion Ghana cedis for road construction and rehabilitation. It simply tells you that this is woefully inadequate. Why? Because we've just seen one road that is expected to cost some $347 million, US dollars to actually complete this. So let's look at the timelines and why this is important. The Nsawam Road, for instance, the road that we are talking about, was actually commissioned somewhere July 2022. And the expectation was that by July 2024, last year, we should have completed that road. We didn't. We had to, extend or revise the timeline or the finishing periods about May 2025. And we've gone past May. The road is still there. Why is this important? Because you have about 100 cases already in court. People saying that we need compensation before the road can continue. So far, the estimation is that compensation alone, when they talk about that road, is expected to hover around 4.3 million Ghana cedis. Already, many are in court asking. And the key question is the big push expected to be the savior? Because 13.8 billion for a period of, 2 years expected to be for road infrastructure and road projects in the country. But we've looked at the Ofankor, road and how much it would take for us to complete that road. And you compare that to 13.8 billion, you see where we are going as a country. Now I want to end with this and what the minister or the program-based budget of the ministry said about the Ofankor road. It says that this is a road without any dedicated funding. It means if we have to complete this road, it's either government falls on the big push, which we know that this road is one of the programs or the road project listed as part of the Big Push program to be completed. But the biggest headache still remains the cost involved, litigation, and the components of the road. If you look at it, 10 lanes with about, six express and about 4 interchanges on that road. Why is this important? Because this is a road that connects Ghana to the upper part of West Africa. Burkina Faso relies on this road to cut their goods from the port to that place. So it tells you that it's not any other road. It connects Accra to Kumasi. It connects Accra to so many other places. It shows you why it was so important that we had to go
2 slides
on that
back.
yeah.
Next one? Absolutely.
Yeah, this one.
No, this one.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, between this year, between July 2024 and May 2025, because of the revision, do you think that this revision took account of the budgetary allocation as well? Would they also revise the budget at all? And would it cost us more or less?
Well, I mean, usually, MFR, when you talk about budget, usually it's beautiful on that tangent. But when we come to releases and actuals, that's where the big problem is. So you can talk about 13.8 billion for big push. But in terms of allocation and in terms of the actual releases, that's where the problem is. And so budget credibility has always been a challenge where we budget beautifully, but when it comes, when it's time for us to release the money for the project, it has always been the challenge. And as days go by, a project that is also, quoted in dollars, you should know that at a point when the cedi is depreciating, that project will find itself wanting. Oh,
thank you, Kofi, for bringing us some update on our situation on road. But away from that, the Ashanti Regional Health Directorate has confirmed 24 cases of Mpox across 12 districts, with Kumasi recording the highest number. Ashanti Region Director of Health Service, Dr. Fred Adomako-Boateng, who disclosed the figures in an interview with Love FM, said the Kumasi metropolitan area leads with 6 cases, representing a quarter of the regional total.
We initially, for a long time, we didn't even record a case. But currently, the total number of cases that we have recorded in the region is 24. 24. Which is almost about 5% of the total cases that we are talking about. You look at the districts that have been affected, we are talking about 12 of the districts, which is about 27% of the 43 districts that we have in the region. Currently, the leading district, as is implied, is Kumasi, having about 6 cases, which is about 25% of the cases that we are having. And basically, as we are discussing, we don't have any of them in admission. Okay. Our first 2 cases were really recorded in Otafo, and then that's around about 2 months ago. And they have been discharged, and they are doing well. The case fatality rate for most of the outbreaks of Mpox is normally around 11%. 11%. But if you look at the current outbreak that we are dealing in the country, and then you look for the period for which we are talking about, we are looking at 1/409, and which is giving you a percentage of 0.24. You can't see 0.24% dying, but it means that it's really, really not fatal.
This afternoon, a group calling itself the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives working in various public health facilities across the country is demanding payment of their 8-month unpaid salaries. The coalition, comprising over 7,000 registered nurses and midwives, argues the government has failed to honor financial obligations despite their financial clearance. According to the health professionals, despite having worked tirelessly since January this year, they are yet to see the fruits of their labor, which has since plagued them into an economic quagmire. They say they are emotionally drained to continue working with no assurances for payment anytime soon.
We should have been here in our numbers, but our financial situation did not permit us. For 8 months now, since January 2025, we have worked tirelessly in the hospitals, in clinics, and in health centers across the country without receiving a single salary. We have given our best to care for the patients. Even we ourselves are sinking in despair. Where at all did we go wrong to deserve this kind of treatment? And so we ask, Mr. President, who cares for the caregiver? We were financially cleared before posting an assumption of duty, and we have all official documents to prove, including our appointment letters, which we will display at the end of this presentation. Yet today, the Ministry of Health tells us our financial clearance has expired. They claim to have written to the Ministry of Finance for extension. The Ministry of Finance intent says there is no budget for us until government complete payroll audit to remove ghost names. Meanwhile, a section of our colleagues have been paid with all their arrears. How possible can someone receive salaries but others have not and have their financial clearance expired when we received the financial clearance at the same time and were posted at the same time? While bureaucracy stores our fate around, our lives are deteriorating daily. So, Mr. President, who cares for the caregiver? We want to be clear here. Are the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health trying to say that during the transition period, they did not receive any documents detailing our financial clearance and subsequent recruitment? If they did not, we have copies of all these documents, and same are stored on the official Facebook page of the Ministry of Health, which were uploaded on the 16th of August 2024 for your reference. You can go there to check. How sad it is, considering the fact that within the same group of nurses, we had to hit the streets, embark on a series of demonstrations, and engage our mother association, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, before we were given financial clearance and subsequently posted. That was after staying at home for 4 years from school.
Away from that, former Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwul has sounded the alarm that Ghana is dangerously underprepared for terrorism. He warned that unlike neighbors such as Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin and Ivory Coast, who are pouring resources into their militaries, Ghana has grown nonchalant simply because it has not yet been attacked. Nitiwul admitted that Army saw some investments under his watch, but stressed that the Air Force and the Navy remain under-equipped due to politicized procurement. He cautioned that unless Ghana urgently retools its Air Force and Navy, the nation will be left dangerously exposed when threats eventually reach its borders.
We invested in the army. We bought a lot of APCs, a lot of armor personnel carriers. We bought a lot of weapons. We bought a lot of things that they need, multiple rocket launchers. We bought a lot of things that the army needs. But that is not to say that that is all they need. Remember that you are in a region that is faced with terrorism, that is faced with difficult economic challenges, and also faced with serious security challenges. So you need very serious military equipment. Unfortunately, because we have not had a terrorist attack, we don't place too much premium on preparing our military, unlike our neighbors who are being bombarded by difficulties. Nigeria, Benin, Ivory Coast, Togo, Burkina Faso, all of them, Niger, Mali, the entire West Africa, especially the big countries, everybody is suffering from terrorism. And so you go to Burkina, relatively close to 40% of their budget is being used to make sure that they prepare their military. Togo is doing the same, Ivory Coast is doing the same, Benin is doing the same, Nigeria is doing the same. But of course, in Ghana, it is not like that. So you will get the drift in which I'm thinking. I will not conclude, but the people of Ghana should know that we are under-preparing as compared to our neighbors.
All right.
Two, when it comes to the equipment stage, as I said, we did a lot for especially the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and part of the Air Force. But it's not enough because we couldn't have, with the difficult economic circumstances, we couldn't have bought everything that they are looking for. I started listing all the things that we bought, from weapons to ammunition to APC personnel to soft-in vehicles to building houses to doing roads to doing accommodation, all this sort of stuff that we did massively. In fact, the investment that we did, I can say relatively without boasting that no government in the Fourth Republic has done that. But I can say that it is a scratch on the surface. The difficulty and my biggest regret, which I think we should focus, is on the Air Force and the Navy. And the Air Force is very evident for all of us to see that our Air Force is underprepared. From 2019, when we thought that the nation should come together, and the nation actually did, using parliament. Unfortunately, the politicization of our equipment purchases has not helped us.
Now, away from that, fierce legal battle looms between Essikado-Ketan, Member of Parliament for Essikado-Ketan constituency, Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa, and the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, as the two engage in public accusation over whether or not the MP's professorship is legitimate. Lawyer for the MP, David Ametepe, has in a fiery letter taken on GTEC, accusing them of bias and political influence. The lawyer's letter is in response to the Commission's threat to initiate a court action against the MP if she does not stop carrying herself as a professor of surgery. According to GTEC, there's no evidence justifying that Dr. Ayensu has been appointed a professor of surgery by UTA in the university, contrary to her claim. There's more in this report.
GTEC has in the last few days intensified its clampdown on the unjustified use of academic titles, especially among businessmen, religious leaders, politicians, and other influential persons in society. The Commission has in the last few days called out persons, including Deputy Director of Election and IT for the NDC, Rashid Tanko Computer, founder and presidential candidate of the All People Congress, Hassan Ayariga, and several others out, with the latest being the MP, Essikado-Ketan, Dr. Grace Ayensu-Dankwa. The controversy over her professorship title heightened following ranking member on the appointment committee, Alexander Penyu-Markin's probe into her qualification during her vetting as Deputy Health Minister.
I am a professor of surgery at the University of Utah. I am a professor of global surgery per the American College of Surgeons and the American Board of Surgery. I have worked in teaching for the last 15 years. Thank you.
So the American College of Surgery in its role has your name there as Professor Ayensu-Dankwa, correct?
American College of Surgeons has my name as a Professor Ayensu-Dankwa. I am a board-certified surgeon, doubly boarded from the United States of America. Thank you.
GTEC, following the incident on August 4, wrote to the MP demanding all academic documents conferring the title on her. Her lawyers, in an August 8 response, indicated that her appointment as an assistant professor of surgery by the vice chair for academic affairs at the Department of Surgery at the University of Utah justifies her qualification. But GTEC insists she was appointed an adjunct assistant professor and not an assistant professor, a position GTEC says does not even qualify her as a senior lecturer in Ghana. GTEC warns it will drag the MP to court if she does not stop carrying herself in public as a professor.
Well, joining us is Professor Jinapo of GTEC, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. First, aside the evidence the lawyers provided, has GTEC done any independent checks from the University of Utah to know whether or not she indeed qualifies?
Well, I think the evidence that we have is what was provided by the Department of Surgery. And that evidence points to the fact that Honorable Ayensu is an adjunct assistant professor, contrary to a claim of being a full professor, and her lawyers indicating that she is an assistant professor. So if you look at all this, one, have a different professor, an assistant professor, and an adjunct assistant professor. And in all of this, have even an appointment letter to be able to authenticate what is right. But that's not our position is that based on the facts before us and the evidence that we have, we are calling on her respectfully, and I must emphasize that, respectfully, as a very high government official, to not use a title that has not been earned. And of course, I mean, being an honorable member of parliament and a deputy minister, I think she's done enough for herself not to necessarily be called a professor, when in actual fact it's not.
Prof, have you by chance cited the response from her lawyers? They complained about the tone and many other things.
Well, the lawyers wrote to us I don't know if you happen to have seen that letter that they wrote to us in response to our 4th August letter. And I think that the letter that we wrote were very decorous and respectful as much as we could. But the fact remains that the Honorable Deputy Minister, based on the evidence available to us, is not a professor. And that needs to be stated. And we will respectfully adhere by virtue of the position that she occupies in society to lead by example. And that example being, done in a manner that reflects her true status when it comes to academia. She's a well-accomplished surgeon, there's no doubt about it. But the fact remains that she's not a professor, and even the narrative goes to, one way or the other, question the integrity of this whole scenario that we are witnessing. Being, she says, and it's on record, that she's a full professor. A lawyer says that she's an assistant professor. And the university where she claims to have gotten a professor from says she's an adjunct assistant professor. These three cannot be the same. Nowhere in the world can you have these three being the same.
Prof,
so unfortunate as it is, that's what it is.
Prof, you also acknowledge that you've seen the response, but the fact still remains. However, part of the response have accused you of political bias for writing to the presidency when you could have written to them. Is their position right or not?
So let me state. GTEC is a state agency, just like the police or Yoko. If you have a high government official who happens to conduct herself in a manner that, in our estimation, is wrong, and we've done everything to try as much as possible to convince him or her to pledge herself the same, and that person is not doing what is expected, we believe that the best way to go is to elevate it to our appellate authority, who is the chief of staff. So if I use this analogy, a minister runs the red light and the police more or less causes his or her arrest, will that be deemed as, political witch hunting? I don't think that's right. The fact of the matter is that, and I think Ghanaians are very abreast with what is going on when it comes to this whole environment of people using unearned titles. So many people. And I must say, for the avoidance of doubt, that we've engaged so many people who happen to have been using these titles, and they've pledged themselves of fame. And I'll use one typical example. Reverend Wengam, who happens to be the board chair of Ghana Immigration Service, cautioned all his pastors, and it's on our GTEC website, that anybody who is using an honorary doctorate degree should stop it. He himself has been given honorary doctorate. He refuses to use it. So if you are not a professor, and you say you are a professor, and based on GTEC's engagement and education, you happen to know that, look, even though you were given a letter indicating that you are an adjunct assistant professor, and based on GTEC's caution, you refuse or you stop using it, I think that would have been the best way to go. But after our engagement, you let your lawyers write to us, indicating that you've earned it, we don't have the authority to question same, and that you got it out of the country. I think the best way for GTEC to do is to elevate it to our appellate authority, who is the chief of staff, or the chief of staff to intervene.
Okay.
That is why we indicated that if the chief of staff intervenes and the honorable minister refuses to heed to his intervention, then we have no option than to escalate it to the law courts for the courts to take action on that.
Prof, how long does she have to stop carrying herself?
Well, we are not looking at a time frame here. All we are saying is that we are interested in the honorable minister doing the needful and the right thing. That's all we are asking for. We don't even believe that this should have gotten to this level, because we started this engagement the past 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Close to a month we've been engaging. Okay. So it's so unfortunate and disappointing that it's gotten to this level.
Are we to see many of such situations in the coming days?
Are we what?
Are we to see more of such situations from GTEC calling on...
Not necessarily. Let me state that we've met so many people who happen to be using this title. Indoors, we have the conversation, and once they understand and appreciate what is going on, they stop.
Okay.
What is in the public domain is just about 1 or 2%.
Okay.
There are so many people that we've met, people in very high government positions, people who are very responsible and respected in society, who happen to be using this title, some of them unknowingly, and some they were doing it deliberately. But once we had that engagement with them, they stopped. But in this particular instance, we were expecting that the Honorable Minister, by virtue of her level of education, by virtue of her influence, and by virtue of her stature, would have more or less understood the consequences of those actions and even led by example, especially when we got our board chairman to meet her one-on-one. So it's unfortunate, but let me say that it's what it is.
Thank you, Prof, for talking to us today. Now, away from that, with an estimated 461,640 candidates nationwide expected to sit for this year's WASSCE, the West African Examination Council says it's fully prepared to conduct this year's WASSCE despite conflict in areas like Boko and Nkwanta. According to WAEC Public Affairs Head John Kapi, provisions have been made to ensure candidates in conflict zones can write their papers safely, with sensitization programs rolled out to prepare candidates ahead of the exams. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, listen to the education think tank IFES pressing the government to act fast on reforms. Executive Director Dr. Peter Anti says the current module is failing students and must urgently be revised.
It exposes our education authorities of their understanding of the nature of the current crop of students and generation that they are dealing with. Move from Bolgatanga and then now to Al Farouk. Interestingly, in Al Farouk, we have not seen them destroying properties. We don't know how this is going to escalate because this is the beginning. But in Bolgatanga, it was brutal, very, very destructive. They burned their libraries and other things. It tells you that the nature of students we're dealing with demands a more sophisticated kind of engagement from our school authorities. And I think that is an angle that we are not doing well. I believe that the education authorities need to now retrain our school authorities, administration officials on how to engage the Gen Zs in this, at this particular point in time. Their understanding of issues are different. Their appreciation of circumstances is different. And you do not use the old style of handling students to handle them. They would definitely rebel against whatever decision that you are bringing on board.
We can now also hear from the Public Relations Officer for WAEC, John Kapi, who says funds have been released for the entire exam period.
Well, we have so far been able to print the question papers. We've sent also, normally for the WAS, the stationery goes along with the question papers. So whoever is keeping custody of the questions also keeps custody of the stationery, except for the objective answer cards, which we would present to the schools ahead of time so that the supervisors can prepare them for the exam. So we've printed, normally we print in batches based on the timetable. So for the first 3 weeks, all the questions are ready. They have been transported. As we speak, every single person has arrived at their destination ready for the examination this morning. So I would say that we've had quite a smooth process in the preparation towards the examination in terms of printing, packaging, and then dispatching our staff to the field for the exercise. So when the exams were to be, first of all, during the BEC, what we did, especially at the time, it was just Boko. So we did not have an examination depot in Boko. What we did was to have a depot at Zebila. So from Zebila, the examination officials, that is the district exam officials, would drive under police escort to Zebila, pick up the questions, go back, have the candidates write, and then return the scripts to our depot keeper at Zebila. That's what we did, and that's the same thing we wanted to replicate for the WAS. And then the Nalego issue occurred, and then there were also some pockets of disturbances in some schools within the Upper East in particular. So what we did was to be in touch with the local authorities, of course, with the collaboration of the Ghana Education Service. And then they told us that they had made adequate provision for security. They will be able to secure the entire area where the examinations will be written. We have about 3 centers within the Boko enclave itself. So what they've tried to do is that they are no longer having any day students. Everybody now has been sent to the boarding house.
Okay.
So you don't have to commute from home to school to write the examination. And then also we have our examination depot at Zebula, as I mentioned earlier. So the examination officials would go, pick up the questions, go and conduct the examination, of course, with the support of the security personnel who are in that area. And when exams are over, they return the scripts to Zebula. Now, we've also had, there was a problem in Zwarungu, also in the Upper East region. And so some of the candidates who hail from Boko have chosen to go back to Boko and write the exams. They don't want to write in Zwarungu because they feel safer in Boko than in Zwarungu. So provision has been for them also to go back. They have also been provided accommodation on campus, so they can stay in school and write the examinations without any difficulties. In Nalerugu, we also have been in touch with the officials over there. They indicate the place is safe. They have made enough provision for security. Again, they are ensuring that no candidate is loitering in the course of the examination. And so they believe that the candidates will be able to write over there. The same thing applies to Nkwanta. So in all these areas, we've been in touch with them, and we are in constant touch with our personnel in the regions so that they give us feedback as to, what the security situation is.
Away from WASSCE exams, over 100 traders in Ashaiman have staged a peaceful demonstration to protest what they describe as unlawful eviction by the Municipal Assembly.
Asma! Asma!
The aggrieved traders, clad in red armed bands, wielded placards, some of which read, "We own this land, why take it from us? And we have documents, respect our rights." They insist they possess all the necessary legal documents permitting them to operate on the land near their Ashaiman traffic light. They say the land dispute is already before the court, awaiting a ruling. According to the traders, a private developer is allegedly influencing the assembly to forcibly take over the land despite the pending legal process. They are vowed to resist any attempt to remove them until the court delivers its verdict.
Only 1 month, this person, you go to TDC, go say one open fight. TDC people tell them, say, the land long to those people sit down for here. Please, this association, the land long for a week. This man come back. The time we go, my brother to also did there. They say no, and name no the inside. This man come back. Make wayo, make yans a chrono.
Papa also be 10 feet. So be 10 feet. I need no problem. Bia. I be 10 feet from what the bia. So you say it's 10 feet. You want me touchy because I know document to assassinate so.
Some protesters expressed anger, calling the action an injustice being meted out to them. Leader of the traders, Jeffrey Ellie, condemned the assembly's move, accusing officials of disregarding due process. Meanwhile, heavy security was deployed at the scene to maintain order and prevent the protests from escalating into violence.
You're watching News Today. Please stay for business.
Welcome back to Business here on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. The Mine Workers Union of the Trades Union Congress has expressed worry about the increasing cases of non-standard forms of employment in the mining sector. There is more in this report.
According to the Ghana Mine Workers Union, the significant shift exacerbated by the continuous fragmentation of production and outsourcing in the name of local content participation, workers now have lower levels of employment protection, high degrees of uncertainty, and face higher risks in respect of workplace accidents or injuries. This, they say, have surged in workers and trade union rights violations and job insecurity. Speaking at the union's National Executive Council meeting, Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Mine Workers Union, Jerry Ando, said government must take a special interest as this has serious ramifications for the stability of the mining industry going forward.
The current phenomenon where aspects of the mining business and jobs are found out at the least opportunity under cutthroat prices simply on the back of profit maximization must stop, since its arrangement continues to threaten and undermine the decent work agenda and impoverish our members. Astonishingly, this continues to happen at a time when the prevailing business environment is super favorable.
Delivering a solidarity message, Secretary General of TUC Ghana, Joshua Ansah, said TUC Ghana is committed to supporting the Ghana Mine Workers Union in its efforts to improve working conditions, promote occupational health and safety, as well as advocate for the rights of miners.
The TUC Ghana is committed to supporting the Ghana Mine Workers Union in its effort to improve working conditions, promote occupational health and safety, and advocate for the rights of miners. We will continue to work together to address the challenges facing the mining sector and to ensure that workers' voices are heard.
The National Executive Council meeting saw the election and swearing in of new National Executive Council members.
Moving on, the crop yields in the Amansia West district of the Ashanti region have fallen sharply over the past decade, according to new research. Scientists from the Soil Research Institute of the CSIR found significant declines in stable crops such as cassava, maize, and cocoyam in communities like Tonkokrom and Dantono. There was more in this report.
The Amansia West district continues to be plagued with illegal mining operations. Large tracts of land and vegetative cover are depleted through the illicit activities. Galamsey has become the mainstay of locals who have abandoned farming, despite the district being one of the food baskets in the Ashanti region. Farmlands have been contaminated with heavy metals as a result of illegal mining operations. This, perhaps, is hampering agricultural productivity in the area. Sadiq Adams is a research assistant at the Soil Research Institute of the CSIR.
Tontokrom happened to be much more contaminated than the rest. The least contaminated community was Ashaiman. And we also saw Datano. Datano was also, it was having high levels of heavy metals. So I also went ahead and took data, crop yield data, from the MOFA office. Yes, I considered cassava, yam, and the cocoa yam, because these are the major crops in the area. So when I took the yield and I plotted the graph, I saw that there was a sharp decline from 201 to 2010. There was a sharp decline, but there was a stable yield from 2010 to 2020.
Illegal mining remains a headache to successive governments despite efforts to end the menace. Some environmental stakeholders want a more stratified and collaborative approach to militate against the seemingly unending cycle of illegality. Dr. Colin Stay is the director of the Soil Research Institute.
We should come together as a people. The military intervention is okay, but I think that the local, engagement of the local people and trying to talk them out of Galamsey, if it is possible or if it becomes possible, why can't we identify the areas of economic activity that those communities are engaged in? And
we have more business update for you at 1 p.m. on the marketplace. Up next is sports.
Abdullah here with sports on Joy News today. The president of Ghana Weightlifting Federation, Jerry Ahmed Shaibu, says that this year's championship, which is being staged in Ghana, is an opportunity for young weightlifters to showcase their talent. About 13 African countries are currently in Accra for the championship, and he says they should enjoy themselves.
We in Ghana are truly excited to host the 2025 African Junior and Youth Weightlifting Championships. We are truly honored to host this prestigious continental event here at Gamashi Hall, the Trans Emporium, a venue that symbolizes both Ghana's sporting heritage and our commitment to nurturing the champions of tomorrow. Mr. President, this championship is not only a platform for competition, it is a stage for inspiration. It is when the discipline, strength, and resilience of Africa's youth are showcased to the world. It is also an opportunity for cultural exchange. As host, Ghana is deeply committed to ensuring a memorable and successful championship. We have prepared with great care and dedication to provide an enjoyable experience. Make sure you enjoy yourselves. Both on and off the platform. To our young athletes, this is your time. Compete with courage, fairness, and passion. Remember that every lift you make contributes not only to your personal journey, but also to the future of African weightlifting. To our federation's partners and wider WFA family, we thank you. We thank you for trusting Ghana to host this important event. Together, we are building a stronger foundation for the development of weightlifting across Africa and ensuring that our youth have the opportunities to shine at continental and global levels.
Up next is World News, and MFI is standing by with that.
And in World Today, French President Emmanuel Macron warned European allies that war has returned to the continent ahead of his visit to Washington, D.C., alongside other EU leaders and Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday, August 18, recalling the most notable figures in France's resilience fight during World War II. Macron urged the nation and Europe to, quote, do everything we can, end quote, to ensure freedom and to deter, quote, what it went through back then, end quote.
C'est l'alliage de la bravoure et du courage, français, apatride ou étranger.
All has returned to Europe, and those who believe it is distant or of no concern are no different from the sleepwalkers of the past. Those who think freedom can exist in weakness, or that one can live as if there were no war, ignore the reality of a world filled with predators at our doorsteps.
Et nous avons un devoir, ne pas les oublier, nous rappeler de leur bravoure et de leur nom.
Predators preparing tomorrow's defeat are often evading accountability. If we wish to remain free, we must never forget the sacrifices that secured that freedom.
Pour toujours, pays de cocagne, et on oublie chaque jour de le dire. Nous avons aujourd'hui à regarder notre destin en face. La guerre est revenue en Europe. Et ceux qui pensent qu'elle est très loin et que ne nous concerne pas sont les mêmes somnambules que ceux d'hier. Ceux qui pensent qu'on peut être libre en étant...
That'll be all for the news today. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you for watching. I'm MFA Akosia Adeti.